Harrington?
Here.
Councilmember Matheson?
Here.
I'm here. Were you able to have a look at the minutes from our last meeting?
Yep.
Me too. Any concerns? Nope. Okay, then we'll pass those. Our first item is an appointment to the Planning Commission, reappointment of Susan Lettuce.
Thank you for doing it. Stepping back up again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for your service. I think she's been on it. Is this her second term?
This is her first full term.
First full term.
She had one partial term prior to that.
I see. Okay, so we'll move that to consent, and then our first item around
I have a question
an
about
agreement.
Susan
Yes.
Lettuce.
Oh, yes.
Is her family the one that Lettuce Highway?
Question. I
Anybody
think
know?
so.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
The James F. Lettuce Highway.
Yeah, her, not in that
Is
picture,
it
but
her grandfather?
her picture's out, grandfather's out here on the wall somewhere.
Her grandfather, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
in there.
Yep.
Is he in there? I didn't bring my glasses. I'm like, I know he's on the wall somewhere.
I think you're right, though. I think he is around with all
There
the.
it is. That's
Which one?
The one in the back, right?
Yeah,
second
and
one
then
from the
Mayor
left.
Brenner, and Mayor Nader,
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Muller, and James Georgeson.
Oh.
James George.
Oh, James Georgeson, Georgeson.
I can never see that.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Good. Anything else about her appointment? Okay. Then I propose we move to the second, well, it's our second item, but our first one about an agreement, which is for a lease of the sidewalk that we talked about at the end of our last meeting. Do you recall that? And we don't have, who's here either, but that's all right. This has to go through also the preservations, right? Landmarks and Preservations Committee. So we can do first the agreement and then the approval for the landmarks.
Well, so this agreement would be contingent on them approving. So
Okay,
the-
so that
the
goes
con-
first?
No, the contract is hinged on that.
Okay.
So this is a contract that would say, yes, the city is okay with it,
Mm-hmm.
pending final approval. So it would require review by them, and then once they approve it, we would issue a permit and construct.
Okay.
Are they planning on concrete ramp or wooden or aluminum or?
It's gonna be a concrete ramp that comes up, and then there's a set of stairs up the other side, and then there's basically like an aluminum handrail that runs the length of the entire thing. So it's just an ADA compliant ramp and stair system. The structure isn't gonna be tied to the building, so what they're gonna do is remove the sidewalk, that section of sidewalk there, and they're gonna pour it, and it's gonna have a control joint between the building and the ramp. So it's not even a permanent, it's not permanently connected to the building.
Okay. That was going to be my question. What's its permanence? Is it semi-permanent, permanent?
I mean, it's a giant chunk of concrete.
Yeah, so
But it's
it's-
not gonna impact the building because theoretically you can jackhammer it out and replace the sidewalk.
Okay.
And that's a brand new sidewalk, a very nice one too. We just redid the sidewalk like a week ago.
Interesting. Thank you for that description. That's helpful, very helpful. We talked about this in our last meeting. Yeah.
Okay,
So this is a follow-up. This is the actual contract. So.
right. And the contract just is essentially what we drafted with Green Earth. The
Yes.
only difference being that it doesn't have to comply with like, the Green Earth contract had a section about complying with like the food sidewalk cafe permit process, and this obviously does not have to comply with that because it's an interest or doctor's office. There's no seating on it, it's a ramp, a code compliant, pad where the door opens, and then a set of stairs off the other side, so it's not a,
Is it similar to the one on Deep Street or Danvers Expo?
settings, I can bring elevations, so you can just see it.
Okay.
And that building, it might be worth noting that they've been local radio in Oneonta since 1948, and we no longer have a local radio station on AM band,
Yeah, so
and all of the program originates from everywhere else, somewhere else on
Yep.
The FM stations.
Yeah.
Sad day.
Yeah.
Somebody
I agree.
only done radio for 56 years.
Mhm.
I'm good with it, so
Yeah, me too.
I'm a
And
favorite.
there's no, the other difference too is there's no fee on this.
That's right. The Green Earth was the model minus the fee. Yeah. For obvious reasons. There was no fee apparently because it really is complying with ADA. Yeah. So you wouldn't charge. The city wouldn't have to charge. Well, if there's no further, we can.
I think I hear his footsteps.
Here he is.
Pictures worth 1,000.
Right.
So
Is this what we got last time?
yes.
Something
Yeah.
similar?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like this is more illustrative. I think it's more detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so these are the elevations that are gonna go to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Yeah.
Because they require detailed elevations.
Not the planning commission?
This doesn't need to go to planning commission.
No, because this is an historic building that we need.
Right.
So I said hello to you yesterday in the Deep Street parking lot, and you didn't say hello back.
Oh, was I in headphones?
I don't know.
Stranger danger.
Yeah, I might not be.
Only not a stranger in this case. Did you need to see that, Scott? Okay, because it is interesting. Okay. If there's no other
Nope, I'm good.
points to raise, then I propose we move that to the consent agenda and allow the mayor to sign the agreement. And our next is this is a fee waiver request that we got last year for the same event. And the fee would be for a public event.
Closing the street.
Right. So we have the,
Didn't last year we didn't get the street closed and
right,
That's correct. I was at the event,
right,
and Mark was there too, and in the middle of the show, cars were going by, so he left and came back with barricades and put them up himself. But they're saying that, don't charge us this year, because
I
we
think,
didn't have it
we did charge them last year.
Right,
Yes.
they paid last year.
They asked for a waiver and we asked them, we requested that they pay it.
yeah.
But no, Greg said that fee was returned to them.
And then the fee was returned to them,
Oh.
so now, in light of all that, they're asking for the
Oh, I didn't know the fee was
I
returned.
don't think the fee was
returned.
returned to
Oh,
him
that's
because
what
when I
Greg-
was talking to Mark,
I'm
he,
not positive that it was.
It was? Well, that's what Greg said in our meeting, it's the
Yes,
other day.
yes.
Do you want me to go verify it? Yeah, 'cause it would have gone to your office, 'cause I would have turned it over at that point. But I don't recall it.
I would,
Do you need me to verify if it was returned?
I would just say, if the fee wasn't returned, I'm okay with waiving it.
Yeah,
And if it was returned, then I guess I'm okay
they pay it again?
that we just do it again.
That seems reasonable, yeah. It's $100.
I mean, I think the reason why they're actually asking for this is the fact that it's not, like, it's an event that's above the street,
Yeah.
so,
It's like the old Beatles concert that they
Right.
had up on some rooftop.
That's
And
the-
and it's
that's
open
the-
to the public. so-
right.
Yes, and it's open to the public and stuff.
Right.
We're also not paying them for their performance.
Right,
Like we do the other bands that
Right.
perform on Main Street,
right,
so they're not being paid from us.
Right, but we still have to have our crew come up and set up the barricades.
See, what happened was, there were no barriers last year. People was in the street, and then cars started coming
Yes.
through, And the mayor went and got the barriers, but the show was almost over by the time the street was blocked
It
off.
all worked out, yeah.
And
I don't know, I guess I would be sympathetic in that we just waive the fee entirely, just without the context.
I'm okay with that too.
Sorry?
I'm okay with that too. I was just trying to be like the middle,
Yeah.
you know.
Cut the baby, split the baby. Cause I just think it's a public event, but, it's not, it does generate a lot of, like, it got a crowd last year. It's a good thing.
Did you go? Oh.
Did you went?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't as good as the Beatles, so. They
I
tried.
mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah, well, you wanna do that? Is that okay with you? Wait,
Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
If I said, if we
I-
move forward to just say, let's waive the fee, go along with that?
Yeah.
All right,
I'm okay with it.
regardless of whether or not.
Yeah.
All right,
I was just trying to be the political guy down the middle.
right. Then I guess, actually, I wonder, we can make that call, but I wonder if we should just have this as a discussion as a council. People may wanna weigh in on it.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah,
I'm very agreeable today. That's what happens when you go on vacation.
I was gonna say, it's that time of year. Yeah, I think that's what we should do. Let's have a council discussion about it so that we can, it won't take long and it's just to let them know. And then if people think, we can say what we decided as a committee, but then they can also weigh
And
in.
maybe they can bring up the if it was returned or not.
Yeah, then we can figure that out. Although I think I would still make the argument that doesn't matter as much. The fact that it's an event that benefits downtown. Did you, were you gonna say something?
No,
Oh.
no, it's fine.
Okay, so I think we should move back to discussion and just have a brief, I think that's what we did last year too. I think we had a brief discussion about it as a council anyway, so. Okay,
But then I got a different question after this because it's a
I know.
recurrent event. To do it again, then I don't think we.
I was just wondering about that. I was just literally thinking, like, if this becomes an annual thing, what's gonna be our policy?
I don't think it has to come back in front of us. I think the city staff, if I remember what we passed, the city staff has the, I'm kind of looking at the clerk too.
I have the authority to approve the event, that's not why it's in front of you. It's in front of you because they're asking for the fee waiver.
It's
For
the
the fee
request,
waiver. Okay.
yes.
So even if it comes back next year, I can say, yeah, you can hold the event, but I have to get your authority to.
If they want a fee waiver.
So then it can't be, we have to each year assess it. All right. Okay. So we'll have a council discussion about that. All right, our next, item is on the, OPT testing policy, drug and alcohol testing policy. Is there anything you wanted to let us know about? I took a look at it.
There was there's very few changes in it.
Mhm.
One of the changes was switching the DER, which is the drug employee representative. And that was from the previous personnel director to Dave Corey.
Mhm.
The other part was there were some changes in 49 CFR Part 40 on, they did some amending in the section of specimen collection procedures. Part J was amended to allow testing of bodily fluids for alcohol consumption, where this was actually a executive mandate back in 21, I think it was, when COVID hit. So people weren't breathing into a tube they were allowing swabs.
Mhm.
So now it's in this policy. So that's basically the only changes that were really done. Every 3 years, we have an audit, drug and alcohol audit, and this is changed because language has changed. So that's basically, I read through it, and those are the changes that I see.
Has it ever been a problem? What? Drug use and or alcohol use?
This is, for the employee, this is,
Mhm.
our, the drivers, the city's bus drivers are a little different than any other employees, cause it's one and done. We have zero tolerance, so
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
test you're done. Where others have the opportunity to go through an SAP program, get 5 tests within a set amount of time with the SAP, and then they can return. You know, they would be working still, but they would then come off that program. We're zero tolerance, which FEMSHA, which regulates all truck drivers, has a clearinghouse. So anybody tests positive would go into a clearinghouse. So if that driver wanted to go work for Company B would run his name through the clearinghouse and see that. But a bus driver, if they test positive, doesn't have a CDL license anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So
Is it
that's
your-
why there's no clearinghouse
Right.
for
Yeah.
for
Should be.
transit or for anybody that's a bus driver.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else that you'd
No.
like us to know about? Okay,
Nothing really.
okay.
It's pretty much boilerplate.
Got everything?
Yeah, I left my glasses at
Yeah.
home, so I'm using them.
Figured.
This is, I will say, this is all on recommendations, I told you before, from the, I'm gonna say it wrong, right, Ginny? There are, operational or whatever, auditor,
Yeah.
so they
Oh, yeah.
They oversee
Yep.
just our drug and alcohol policy.
Yes,
They audit just the policy.
yes.
The RSL,
Yes, RSO. So they actually,
they're compliance.
they're a compliant,
Compliance
yes,
auditor,
they're
right.
compliant, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
They're compliance only auditor, and they also are the government's compliance officer.
Mhm.
So the state uses the same one that FDA uses, so all the stuff is the same.
Okay. So we'll just approve this update?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very routine,
Yes.
standard.
Yep. Okay. So we'll just move that to the consent agenda, move that along, and then, I think the next two are community development. Yeah.
Okay, so we are doing a public hearing at the next council meeting for the CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grant Program for the 2025 program. It's a requirement for us to be able to submit any applications for this program here. So as we determine the applications that we're submitting, we'll actually come in for each of those for an authorizing resolution. We were gonna be submitting for, well, we're gonna be asking for an extension on micro soon, to get more money. It's a new way that we can extend our micro without having to submit a formal application, so it's pretty cool. It's the first time they've allowed it, and we'll be eligible for it very soon. We have to obligate all of our funds in the current program, which we just have done, and we have to have expended more than 50% of the expenditures, so that's close, so we should be able to request more money. Will come in again, like I said, we'll come in again with a motion for that. I think we're gonna have another housing application that we're submitting, and, that program is not out yet, but it should be out shortly, so we can apply. And, we may have a public facilities application that will provide more information on, as we get it sorted out what we're doing with it. So anyway, to do any of those, we have to do this public hearing. We do this every single year. The bad news is that the CDBG program in its entirety is not included in the federal budget right now. So all of these programs may go away. This may be our last shot at these programs. It's devastating. It's heartbreaking. Very ill-advised.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
hoping that they put the money back in, but I don't think they will.
Do you
So
have
that's
any,
the-
oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was wondering if there were any examples of the micro enterprise that you could tell us about?
Any examples?
Yeah, what kind of,
Yep, we just obligated the final So in this round, we've given out another $178,000. I just did the update today. Since 2010, we have given out $1.5 million in grants directly to 72 awards for 68 businesses. 53% of those are still in business, which is awesome for small businesses. So the awards that we just made were to, okay, give me a second here. A small composting waste company that just opened up within the past year. They compost food waste through local farmers.
It's a local business.
I'm sorry.
And it's a local, that's a local business?
Yes,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, owned by two women in business. I think it's called Worms for Waste, but don't quote me on that, 'cause, I'm not sure the name, something like that. We, oh my God, caught me off guard, I didn't bring the list with me. And Sarah leads up the micro. We had, the bookkeeper on Main Street, Brittany's, what's her? Critty. Yeah, Brittany Critty, the name of her business name, I'm sorry. And then, oh my God, what's the other one? I know in the first round, we funded leather stocking quilts, which is on Main Street. And, I'm trying to think, Hair of the Dog, and, Underground Attic. And she's had a few grants from us, but she hits every button every time she applies, and she's always expanding. And I can't remember
Well, that gives me an idea, and they're all within the city limits.
they have to be. So they're all within the city limits, they all have to have 5 or fewer employees and owners at the time of application, and that's by head count. So that includes part-time people too, so they're very small businesses. It can be for, new businesses or businesses that are expanding, either the size or their services. They must be in the city. We don't care where they're located in the city, because we do like to we like to support our bricks and mortar here in the downtown, but we also like to provide support to our other commercial areas in the city. So we've had grants over the years to like Roundhouse Road and, among other Main Street, is not right here in the downtown, and, on the east end as well. So the money's spread out throughout the city. It basically goes to what the committee, and I'm not on the committee, but what the committee deems as, prospective good businesses that will stay in business. And the grants are between $5,000 and $35,000 each, and the business owners have to provide a 10% owner's equity on top of their grant amount. And they either have to be low to moderate income owners, or they have to create at least one job for a low to moderate income person. Which means that person can't have a college education or any prior experience. They can just have a high school education and be trained on the job. That's what qualifies the low income job.
Thank you.
Is there a chance that New York State could pick up some of this?
It's possible. So all of the CDBG money actually comes out of HUD at the federal level. But it's dispersed to the states, and the state administers the funding. So we never deal with anything at the US level, federal level. We deal with the state, the Homes and Community Renewal Office. I haven't heard what they're going to do, but I would think that the state would try to do something
Yeah.
so they don't lose that
Absolutely,
staff.
absolutely.
So, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's to be continued, I guess, right?
Yeah, and it's a shame. I mean, this is, like, for the city, we go for housing,
actually about the,
We have to pay for the parade. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying,
We have to pay for the parade.
trying not to do a deep little dive here. Trying to stay out of that fray.
Good advice.
Do we need to do, there's just the public hearing, that's
Yeah, the
why
pub-
we're
yeah.
learning about this, it's just so that,
Just explain
Yeah.
what the public hearing's all about.
yeah, it is kinda odd that there's a public hearing, I think. Isn't it kinda odd that we have to,
No, it's a requirement, so this is a requirement of this CDBG program at the federal level, so that low to moderate income people get the
So they're-
information.
so they're given information about it,
Yeah.
okay,
This is part of
Yeah.
the public outreach, so
oh, okay.
we have to, once we have a grant, we have to do a second public hearing during the grant to explain how we're administering it and to answer any questions.
Mhm.
You know, we don't do it that way, but
Yeah,
it's supposed to be to provide the information about how we administer the grants, and so the public can have their questions answered on the programs if they have any.
yeah,
So there's always two required
I see.
on each program.
Mm-hmm. Anything else from anybody? Okay,
No,
so the next item, in terms of community development is the, applying for the, Safe Streets and Roads for All program, which we talked about actually, I don't know if you remember, in Quality of Life,
Mhm.
right, at the very end. Greg alluded to this.
Yeah.
So these are the details now.
Yeah, so this is the last year that it's available, and at least what's currently offered, so we're applying for it, it's due the 26th, so we're still working on, exactly what we're going to apply for in terms of the amount, but it's gonna be, up to 300,000, up to 375,000, with a grant of up to 300, and our match could be up to 75. We wanna do the safety action plan, the comprehensive safety action plan, but we're also going to ask for supplemental plans, one of which Greg wants to do the Route 7 and Chestnut Street corridor.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what else, we still have to determine that in the next 10 days, wherever we're at in the calendar. And we also may be doing some demonstration plans, which could just be, painting temporary bike lanes on markers on to see, how they're gonna work in certain areas and things like that. We're still working on the details of what we're actually gonna be asking for. But yeah, this will be an overall plan for the city. Once we have it in place, then we'll be able to apply in future years for implementation funding, or whatever we come up with.
Great.
a while back, there was some talk about the curve on Chestnut Street right next to Nick's Diner, and there was gonna be a traffic study or something. Would this be for
I would
projects
think-
like that?
Yes, that would all, I
Remember
believe,
that?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
because this is a comprehensive safety action plan for our streets and complete streets and safety. So my answer to that is yes, but what that actually looks like, I don't know yet.
Right, but it's those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's.
It's an assessment,
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then a plan about how to, implement
yeah.
safer
We're-
roadways.
We're on record with DOT for having 4 vehicular deaths in Oneonta.
In the recent past, right?
So between 2018 and
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah,
I still need to see on the map where those actually are, but they're in Oneonta,
Yeah.
town or city, but
Yeah.
some of them are definitely in the city.
yeah,
That will help us with being more of a priority for this, but our understanding is they've got plenty of money in the last round they were able to fund everything that applied.
okay,
So hopefully we'll get this, and then we'll be able to determine exactly, what specifically we're looking at as part of this action plan.
There was a death within the last year on Route 7, but I think that's in the town, maybe.
And
I think that was,
they only let us look at 2018 to 2022, 5 years, and that's the timeframe. So anything we were
going away because of.
They offered a multi-year funding
Mhm.
package, and this is the final year that you can apply for this. It doesn't mean that there won't be anything in the future,
I see.
but we don't know, so we
Right.
want to get this in.
Right, as soon
So
as
we don't
possible.
lose the opportunity.
Yep. Okay. And the funding would come from the
USDOT.
right. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, the match.
I should be more clear. Yes. So the local match would be from the Street and Sidewalks Reserve, and that is the, more specifically from the
We
general
might
fund.
give the council a choice, if
Uh-huh.
if they
Oh.
wanted to go from the streets and sidewalks reserve or just the general fund itself.
Okay. All right.
And I'd like to mention
Mm-hmm.
that reserve is in better shape because we got that Climate Smart grant last year
Yep.
to help us with the match on the Lettuce Highway sidewalks. So that gives us a little breathing room.
Because originally, had to commit about 1.8 million to that Lettuce Highway
Yes.
project, and now
Yes.
it's only like 670.
Yep.
I wanna say 676.
Yep. It was profound. I mean, it was a huge,
Huge, yeah,
impact.
absolutely huge, yeah.
I remember that very well. I propose we open this up for the council discussion only because we could then have a discussion about where we could draw this.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scott, did you have anything?
No.
Okay. So we'll have a brief discussion about that.
Right. Is there any way of predicting if we're gonna get the grant? Just to know.
Other than them saying in last round that there was, it was well funded and they were able to fund everything that came in, there's never any way of knowing.
Mhm.
We just have to put in our strongest proposal. It's a pretty simple application too, it's not too extensive, so, I think we have as good of a shot as anybody.
Okay. Thank
We
you.
have had deaths, I mean, that's, even one is too many, especially for our population, you know, our population's not very big.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And there's locations like the one you point out, right, that really need to be assessed and.
Right, that's the only one that I remember we talked
Yeah.
about, but I'm sure there's a lot of
Mhm.
locations.
And it's not just vehicular either, it's the bike and pedestrian, I mean, it's really tough to get around some places on a bike here. And,
Yeah.
you know, we can use this to help
Absolutely.
fix that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So I think we'll have a discussion about this on Tuesday to figure out where we get the reserve from,
Okay.
or the funding, I should say. All right, so then I propose we move to the contract approval for the,
Can we just back up for a minute? I
Oh.
just want you to know what my recommendation is.
yeah,
Well, I recommend the streets and sidewalks reserve, because that's what it was
Okay.
set up for,
that's great.
just so you know.
Yep. It seems to make sense. I mean,
So-
given the name of the reserve.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
My recommendation is to use the streets and sidewalks reserve, because that's the purpose of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So the next item is the bid for, well, it's really a description for the, for contract amount for the unit prices increases, right? For the
Well, it was a bid.
price increases,
Yeah,
yes.
it was a bid for the mixed concrete.
Right.
We
It
only
was a
got-
bid, yes,
yeah,
that's right.
yeah. And we only got one bidder.
Right. And that is the Edsego Ready Mix.
Yes.
And what we have is this description of the 2025 items in terms of their pricing.
Right, that's
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we can just see, it's a very helpful description because you can see the increase.
Mhm. Yeah, everything's going up.
Yep.
do the concrete work will receive the concrete from Otsego, Ready Mix. So they'll supply the concrete for whatever job is being done.
And does that include like do they mix the concrete as well? Is that part of the process?
It's those big trucks.
Yeah.
It's the big
in-
trucks.
Yeah, it's in the trucks that turn the concrete.
I understand that, when they're loaded, they're the heaviest trucks on the road.
The concrete trucks?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're very heavy.
Yeah. Scott, did you have anything about that bid?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll move that to consent, and then the last item is the contract approval for the, this is for the fuel replacement, which we've also had discussions about.
We were talking about
Yes.
this when changes at the airport.
Exactly.
So this is just one of those steps that they're going to take, you know,
Exactly, yeah.
in an effort to attract more flights, and
Yeah.
more work there.
Yes, that's right. Apparently, the above ground is more accessible, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, remember they were talking about the plane has to pull up to them,
Yep.
and the hoses
And
are
then
on, they were
long
talking about that all
hose,
night.
right.
This has gone out to bid a number of times, and we found, I think because of our new connections,
I was gonna say,
they were able to find,
yeah,
a much more reasonable price that falls under our
yeah,
grant amount.
that's great.
And also, this increases the amount of gallons, the size of the tanks, the underground tanks that we have right now. I think aviation is 6,000 and jet fuel is 4,000, if I've got the tags correctly. But now it will go to a 12,000 tank to 8,000, which will allow for full deliveries, which will decrease the price of the aviation fuel or the jet fuel, because we'll be able to receive a full load instead of just a partial load.
Mm-hmm. Talk about a lot of money, more than $500,000. It's like, I don't know.
Okay. And this is coming from, the funding is from
We have FAA.
this FAA.
The local portion has already been sent over.
Mhm. And also it says here, the DOT.
Yes, it's not, I'm sorry, it's 90% FAA.
Yeah.
And 10% state, 10% local.
Okay.
So it was $1 million budget,
Mm-hmm.
900,000 from federal, 100,000 from state, and 100,000 from local.
Anything? Any questions about it?
I'm just shocked at how expensive these things are.
And it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
I
I was
think-
a teenager,
seems
I had
like-
a cousin who owned a gas station, and he had to put in a new gas tank, and they were underground. As I remember, it seemed like a huge fortune at the time, it was $10,000, and that was to remove the old one and put in a new one.
You have to understand, these tanks are gonna be so much better for the environment. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
not
I
gonna have in the
understand.
ground,
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time before they fail. The ones that are in the ground now,
Yeah.
they're going to fail. I mean,
I get it.
It's
The,
just
the part that amazes me is how everything is just,
outrageous.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I remember my cousin saying, $10,000, where am I gonna get that money? Gas was like 30 cents a gallon.
I say that when I buy groceries, Don, where am I getting the money?
it's written down.
Okay, so I should just take a look at that. That's a good reference guide. Yeah, I have that. I even brought it to a meeting not long ago. Why did I bring it to a council meeting? I think we had a discussion about the airport, but I wanted to have it handy, so I think it is useful.
The big items, I think, the runway extension, the parallel to the runway plus the fuel tanks, well, those are the three big components, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The AWAC, moving the AWAC system.
Yeah.
Right, and we've got a diagram.
We
as I
had a
recall.
diagram, also extending, there was also a discussion about the road leading
Right,
into.
the road,
And the obstruction removal and.
Yeah.
right,
So I think it's all in that plan.
Yes, okay, then I'll take a look at it.
yeah. So it's actually, that would be four components. I forgot about the roadway that goes
Additional
into
road,
it.
that's right.
Well, they have to move it
Yep,
further up that hill.
yep.
Uh,
I mean, it's quite a project.
Yeah.
And there's also something about hangars and building.
I think that's,
movement.
I think that's future. That's
Yeah.
the thing, it's like what's going on now versus where they wanna be,
Right,
like in a few
they
years.
hope to have people wanting to build hangars.
Right,
My understanding, that would be up to the companies that have to build their own hangars. I think that's what they were saying, something along those lines. It could change.
yes.
But, if we have an airport, it seems to me there's two reasons to have an airport. One, you can get on a plane and go somewhere, and the other one is that people work there. So it's jobs and flights. Right now, we don't have a lot of either one,
No.
so. But that doesn't mean we won't get them.
There's ambition, I think, with the new infrastructure there to make a go of it.
I hope so.
There seems to be
I'm reserved because I've seen this kind of, we're gonna do this, and then
the
it
kind
goes-
of entrepreneurial, like, we're gonna get this going.
That's the history of the airport. Yeah. Then we bring it back up. Yeah.
Well, as long as that doesn't mean a crash.
It's like saw teeth. That's all I can say. Like you get to, then it comes back down, it comes back up, then it comes back
You mean
down.
like the Air India flight?
Kind of. You remember the movie Airplane, where the airplane's going like this?
Yeah, do.
I don't watch movies that involve plane crashes.
Don't call me.
Well,
Sean.
Airplane was a spoof on
No,
disaster, yeah.
But I didn't want to watch it.
Anything else in terms of the agenda?
Did I ever tell you at the town of Slocum? No.
That we can do, I think we can move that to consent. Thank you, yeah. It got lost in the recounting of comedy. So I would then propose we adjourn,
Okay.
if there's no other discussion.
Well, Dave, you want to hang around a little bit longer?